Hey guys, in this video I will be showing you how to complete your third design task, which is tracing your best M-Pavillion design that you did for Cat 1 using layers and the pen tool. So I'm going to teach you a brand new couple of things, and then we're going to get straight into some familiar tools that we've used. So what I've got is a blank workspace. What you need to do is you need to actually place your image that you have scanned or either taken a photo of. How we do that is if you go to the top of your screen, you go to File, and then you go to Place. You then need to find the place where you've saved your M-Pavillion design or photo of it. I'm going to select my file and then I'm going to press place. We could simply click the workspace and then it would place our image wherever it lands. I'm not going to do that. Instead, we're going to click and hold and we're going to create the space for our image to go. And it has been placed right there. I'm going to be tracing the top one. Because when I'm tracing, I don't really want it to affect the original image, I'm going to create a new layer using my layers panel here. Again, if this is not open, you can go to Window, go to Layers, and then this will pop up. You need to create a new layer by pressing the Create New Layer feature. And then we need to lock layer 1, and that prevents this page from moving. Even if we use the selection tool on it, it will not move. On layer 2 is where we'll do our tracing. I'm going to start by tracing this blue object, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to eliminate the stroke here. So if your stroke has a fill, like let's say it's blue, I want you to get rid of this blue stroke or black stroke or whatever color it is by pressing the none feature. That eliminates the stroke, so it won't have an outline. Choose a fill that corresponds with the color that you see on your pavilion. I'm going to be using the eyedropper tool to try and match my blue as best as I can, and you can use that as well. I'm pretty happy with, this blue looks all right. I'm going to use my pen tool, so the pen tool here in the toolbar, and I'm going to start tracing my object. I'm going to use a combination of creating curves like so, making sure I click the most recent point that I just made, and also some geometric kind of pen tool use where we just simply click, 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 and don't have to curve. We can see now that because of the fill, it's actually covering this part of my design, so I can't see it. So it takes a little bit of trial and error. I might just click here, and I can see that my point was actually meant to go there. So I can undo, and then drag and create my point like so. I'm gonna continue to create this using the pen tool as efficiently as I can. You don't have to do large strokes. You can work in really short bursts. I'd actually recommend it as beginners because it allows you to work a little bit more accurately, albeit taking a little bit longer. Cool, so I've drawn over this front part of my pavilion. I want to see how it's looking without the background image, so I can use the visibility or the eye feature on the layers panel to toggle that on and off. So I can see it's looking pretty good. I'm happy with it. What I need to do now is I need to make a layer between layer 1 and layer 2 because this red part of the pavilion is actually behind the blue part. So I'm going to create a layer in between and lock layer 2. I'm going to use the eyedropper tool to try and match this red. Pretty happy with that. And again, I'm going to use the pen tool to create and craft this unique form. That line is probably too long, so I'm going to divide it up so I can match the curve a little bit more accurately. Curve it like so. Again, a little bit of trial and error to find out where exactly it needs to go. And I'm joining back up where I started. I want to see how that looks, so I'll turn off the visibility for layer 1, and I can see that it's looking pretty decent. What I then want to do is I want to start adding tone and texture to my design, so I'm going to go back to layer 2. To add tone, there's a couple of ways to do this. I wouldn't recommend using the gradient tool. You could, but it's not 100% perfect. Instead, I'm going to try and show some highlights on my design using just plain white shapes. So I might have a shine that goes like so along my design, might curve all the way down, and I might line it up like so. It is really quite intense, so I'm going to click that object with my selection tool and I'm going to turn the opacity down to about, let's say 26, and we can see that it's starting to show a little bit of tone, that there is lighter, that's showing a bit of a reflection. And you can continue to use these white shapes to show that sense of tone in other areas of your design as well. So I'll click away from that. I'll change my opacity do a similar, maybe not as intense. I can also do this in regards to creating shadows. So I might select a gray, grab my pen tool, and I might say there's a bit of tone on this side like so. It is quite harsh, that gray, so I'm just going to turn down the opacity once I've selected it. And that shows a slightly darker area. You can always change the tone of gray to make it more intense, or you can decrease it to make it less intense. And this is a really, really valuable way of trying to show tone within your design, particularly when there's hidden features or it's a 3D form, which is really important. We spend a lot of time in class rendering by hand. Now we've got to learn how to render digitally as best as we can as well. So again, I've selected that object and I'm going to adjust the opacity about, maybe a little bit less. Perfect. So we can start to see that I've started to create a sense of form within this design by using just standard shapes and the pen tool. And I would do the same for this back feature here. The cool thing again about using layers is that you can always rearrange your design to see how it looks if you change the layout. I don't particularly like that, so I'm going to change that back. And you can monitor how it's looking without each element in the design. So that is your third task, guys. I really want you to take your time with it and see how you go. Best of luck.